the internet wins. You guys have castrated me over these Chinese coil packs. So today we're gonna be taking those off. I'll never get over the feeling of just driving into an airport, typing in a code, a gate opens, and bam, you're out on the taxiway. I don't know why my tire keeps going flat, but this one over here keeps going flat. Usually takes about 2 or 3 days. It's been probably about a week since I've been out here. And so we'll fill her up. I think it's because these are 2-piece wheels, and I just probably need to tighten all of these. It's probably leaking right in the center. It actually never used to go flat until the emergency landing. And I haven't changed this tire yet. So I got to change this tire, and I have a brand new one, as you guys saw in the last video. So, all right, let's fill her up. We got her filled up. 50 PSI is usually what I put these babies at. All right, let's screw this back on. We got a lot to do today, but I want to address some of the questions that you guys had, or at least some of the main questions. It's really cold out here, by the way, and no, I don't have a hanger yet. So if you know anyone that has a hanger available, hit me up. Yeah, I just need a hanger. They're so hard to find. So one of the biggest questions that I get asked is, how do we cool the plane? No, it's not air cooled. It's got a radiator. We got the radiator up in there. You can kind of see it, and the radiator is mounted horizontally there. So the air comes in here, goes up, and then it comes out the back over there. There's no radiator fan. A lot of people also ask if there's a radiator fan, if there's overheating issues. Keep in mind, when we're flying fairly slow, we're really going still. I mean, even on like landing, when that's like the slowest we're gonna be flying, we're still going like 90, 80, okay, 70 to 90 miles an hour. So the air is still coming in here pretty quick. The other thing is, I don't need like an electric fan because I have this huge LS powered fan right here that blows air into it. Another one of the big questions I get asked is if I built the plane. And the answer to that is no, I actually did not build the plane. However, I will caveat that with, when I bought the plane, yes, it was running and flying, and I only flew it for maybe 50 hours before I decided that there was a lot of things that needed to be changed. This puppy's been neglected really probably since it was originally built. And it was built back in 2003. So there's a lot of new technology that's out now that wasn't necessarily readily available back in 2003. So there's a lot of things that I'm changing on it. One of the things you guys have really pointed out is how many screws are in this cowling. And it doesn't really bother me that much because I rarely ever take the cowling off. I do have this door right here for checking the oil. But eventually I do want to redesign this cowling. It's super heavy. If I redesigned this top part and this bottom part out of carbon fiber, I could easily lose 10 pounds off the nose of this plane, which doesn't sound like a lot, but for a plane that's only like 1,600 pounds with full fuel, that's a lot of extra weight, especially when it's way out here. Redesigning the cowling will probably be one of, I don't want to say the last things that I do on this, but I'm definitely not in a rush to do it just because it's going to be a lot of work, and there's some other things I really want to try to figure out. For example, these huge scoops on the side. So I have a scoop right here and another one on the other side. So this one's for the oil cooler, and then on the other side, it's the intake. I imagine that these things create a ton of drag. And if I could put some sort of NACADUC in there, it would probably make this thing fly even faster, which is ideal. Using this old Rec Specs goggles that I got from my dog a long time ago bag for the extra screws here. Pretend like you didn't see that. I always joke about where I get these screws from, but I really do get all these stainless screws from Home Depot. It's probably a cheaper place to get them, but it's close, it's convenient, and I always have screws on hand. If it seems like this side's going faster, it's because it is. I'm missing a lot of screws on this side. Probably about like 25%. And for those of you that are extra observant, yes, the propeller spins the opposite direction of a traditional airplane because it's got the gear reduction box. Hands are cold. The internet wins. You guys have castrated me over these Chinese coil packs. I got OEM, GM coil packs, which were what was recommended to me. I asked a lot of different people, what's the best coil pack to put on here? I got a few spotty answers, but for the most part, the majority of people said there's nothing better than OEM, GM coil packs, especially for reliability. For everyone out there questioning reliability, whatever your opinion on the LS is, that's fine. It doesn't bother me. I've had really good experiences with the engine, and I know that there's been people in the past that have had issues with LS powered airplanes, specifically in regards to the gearbox. The gearbox I'm using, they've been around for over 30 years. Or almost 30 years. No, they've definitely been around for over 30 years. I think 1992 is how long they've been around. And they originally made these gearboxes for airboats using a small block Chevy, like a Chevy 350. They just modified it a little bit to fit the LS, but they're running these gearboxes on 700-800 horsepower airboats, and they've been doing it for a lot of years with very, very little issues. So that's ultimately what people have said is the weak point. The other important thing to keep in mind is my LS, except for my Chinese coil packs, is all stock. The only other exception to that is I've upgraded all the wiring to Tefzel wire. So if you're not familiar with Tefzel, Tefzel is like the aviation grade wiring. It's the same type of wiring they use in space shuttles. It is the standard for the best wiring. Whatever it is with Tefzel, you're able to use a thinner gauge wire because it's a better quality of wire. I don't know how that works. It's a better quality of insulation. So I was able to reduce the overall weight of the plane by almost 10 pounds just by changing every wire in here to Tefzel, which is crazy to think about. We took out, I think, like 30 pounds of wire, and then we put back in 20 pounds of wire. So that includes the whole wiring harness. That includes all the wires going back into the tail for the batteries. There's wires that go into the wing tank for my pitot tube. So this has a heat going to it, so it needs to be able to withstand 30 amps of power. And then I also have wires coming all the way out here to my lights and these lights too. So it's a lot of wire. It seems like it's crazy to think that there was 30 pounds of wire in here, but yeah, it's a ton. Now that we have the cover off, and I told you guys a little bit about all these Tefzel wire, there's a couple of other things I need to address. I have to replace my O2 sensors. So yes, for all of you guys wondering, I do go through O2 sensors fairly quickly because I am using leaded fuel still. They typically last 50 to 100 hours. It's not really a big deal because if O2 sensor fails, it doesn't really impact the runnability of the engine as much. It'll just run a little bit lean or a little bit rich. Typically it runs more on the rich side. But let's get to work. One of the reasons you should get a project airplane instead of a project car, so much more workbench space. I mean, look at it. You have these huge things, all workbench. Let's check our parts. Not sponsored by Rock Auto, by the way, but I will say they had the parts I was looking for and shipped them super fast. So let's do a parts inventory. We got the new spark plug wire set, GM genuine ignition coils. Man, look at these things. They look so beautiful. Woo! Nice. It's map sensor. So we were getting a check engine code for the map sensor. So I ordered a new one. Hopefully that fixes our quote unquote tuning issues. I'll show you guys on the data log what was happening, and maybe you guys can help me out and figure it out, but we think this was the issue. So that map sensor was actually super easy, and now I'm just working on the coil packs. Probably should have brought my deep sockets for these guys, but we'll just use this tool, I guess. Let's go ahead and clean this up a little bit while we're in here. I wasn't actually planning on doing this today, so I didn't bring the proper tools. It's like one crummy thing about not having a hanger is I have to like bring all the tools out here that I'm going to use for that day. It just takes like extra planning, which is fine, but it's like also a little bit annoying. All right, there we go. Those should be good. The other thing I want to check is, even though, you know, I ordered just OEM wires here, I just want to make sure that they are all the same before I put them on. And they all look about the same to me so far. I always like to just double check all the parts before I start putting them on. The last thing you want to do is get halfway through a project and then realize that there was a different plug or something along those lines and the part wasn't the same. There's still a lot of dielectric grease on there from last time, so and then I'll probably put some new stuff on here. All right, so there we go, 1 down, 7 to go. So I don't really know what I'm gonna do with these. I might keep a couple of them on hand as extras or something. I'm not sure. Or if one of you guys need them or know someone that needs them for their stock LS, just keep in mind it has to be perimeter bolt, because the I think the bolt locations are in different spots. Couple Ooga-doogas. You know, I've been getting some feedback on my videos and on my content, and just want to say thank you. Like, even if it's mean content, like mean feedback, some of you guys are really nice about giving mean feedback, or like, you know, like hard to hear feedback, and some of you guys are not so nice about it. But at the end of the day, man, it's feedback and I need to hear it if I'm going to produce great content. Imagine this was a clip for something. I don't really know. I'm going to put it back on. I want to go fly today, man. I don't know. It's cold, a little bit of a crosswind, but sun's out, man. Sun's out, guns out, baby. Let's go. One day I'd like to have a nice shop where I can like take all of these bolts and put them in some sort of like ultrasonic tumbler cleaner and just like put on all pristine parts back on. I don't know. I like having a clean engine, and clearly this isn't clean, but you know, slowly, it's a lot cleaner from when I first bought it, and I'm just slowly trying to clean it up. This guy just flew in on a Mooney. It's a nice looking plane. Looks like he takes really good care of it. Two Ooga-doogas. Oh, that was 3. Let's just check it. Put my glob of grease on. And I just put a little on my fingers. Wipe it down here on this spark plug. I can send it. So now I'm all done doing the coil packs. I'm gonna go ahead and start it up, test it, and then I actually got an invite to go check out another really cool project. So let's go. Last time this fell over. Hopefully we don't fall this time.